What's going on, guys? It is time. We're filming an Amazon treeboa video. I'm going to show you guys how I've been maintaining these animals, what the parameters are, some handling tips, and of course we're going to highlight some of the awesome treeboas that I have here. So for those who might not know my personal story with Amazon treeboas, it really starts about 15 or 16 years ago. That's when I got my very first pair of Amazon treeboas. After a couple of failed breeding attempts, because I really at that point didn't know what I was doing when it came to breeding boas. I was just a teenager. I pretty much just removed them from the collection, and I thought maybe one day I'll get back into them. Fast forward about 7 or so years ago, right before I started working at Nerd, got my hands on a captive bred animal produced by the one and only Keith McPeak. I really fell in love with that animal. It's this beautiful unicolor orange animal. Started to get a little bicolor look to it as it aged, and it was really tractable, really docile, and I was like, this is actually really cool. This is not what I remember about Amazon treeboas. And that really sent me on my way. I was like, I gotta find a cool male to breed to this female. I found a cool red male, and then I was really just hit by the bug, especially because that male, even as an import, was actually really tractable and easy to manage. And I was like, okay, something has changed. To have an imported animal, I was now like, whoa, okay, this is really interesting. Now I'm starting to pay more attention to some of these key elements that I missed when I was a kid. Fast forward to more recent times, being down here in North Carolina, and I've amassed a collection, and I'm really excited because we've got some really cool imported animals, some really awesome captive bred animals, some holdbacks from things that I've produced, including stuff from the Carnage litter, and a whole bunch more. And we're just gonna dive right in to keeping this magnificent species and seeing what's changed over the last almost 2 decades. Okay guys, so we're talking now about husbandry. How are we maintaining these animals, and what are some of the key elements? So this is the extra large Cambro tub. It's 26 inches deep, 18 inches wide, and 15 inches tall. What I love about this is it's almost like an 18-inch cube cage that just kind of got pressed down and stretched out. And I think it works really well for the Amazons. So we've got a couple of different elements here that we need to be taking into consideration. Of course, humidity. So we're using Reptichip for the bottom of the enclosure. Of course, when that gets sprayed, it holds in that humidity really well. Heating, which I'll talk about in a second on these custom Amazon treeboa racks that I've been working on. And then, of course, we're looking at places to hide, climb, and rest. These are all important things for the Amazons. So, climbing and resting, we've got a couple of different things going on here. I've got this awesome cork flat. We all know that Amazons are the least tree of all of the treeboa species here. So we've got this big cork flat that they can actually just sit on top of. And that's really a classic thing for the Amazons. But a lot of times they just want to sit somewhere like a cross section or a big flat piece of wood. Then I have a couple of cross section points in here. I have this elevated bamboo cross, and then under that is actually this plastic coated, actually tomato stake. For you gardeners out there, you've probably seen these before. These are really easy to clean. They don't mold or anything like that. They're a little bit longer than than what you need, so you can actually just come through and clip the end off and get it exactly to where you need. So it goes from the back of the enclosure to the front of the enclosure. This gives the snake something to climb through, which is exactly what's necessary. Resting. Can't forget resting. So of course, my classic corrugated plastic tubes. These are the same corrugated plastic tubes you would use from your downspouts of your house if you need to get the water to run off somewhere away from the foundation of your house. Same things. Go pick them up, cut them into 12 to 14-inch sections, and then we're literally gonna zip tie it about 12 inches from the bottom. So this actually creates an elevated hide. You can even put damp sphagnum moss in there and help create kind of like a humid hide situation if maybe humidity is something that you struggle with maintaining in your enclosures. But this has become the great setup for my female snakes. Now we're going to talk about the heating in this custom rack and why that's so important too. Okay, so now we're talking about the rack system itself. So this rack I actually designed in part with Rich over at Reptile Basics, and it's 100% got the Amazon treeboa in mind. So these racks I'm actually using for my breeder females. Check out where the heat tape is. The heat tape is along the sidewall on the back end. What is on that part of the enclosure? That elevated corrugated plastic tube. So when females are gestating or developing their babies, they need to be able to get up against the heat. Racks traditionally would have a belly heat or a back heat option. I wanted the animal to be able to be as comfortable as possible. So sitting in or on that particular plastic tube will allow the heat to radiate right over to that female. And then of course, having a tube on the other side of the enclosure means they can thermoregulate and get warm and cool as they need to have as little issue as possible while developing those babies. The most exciting part about this entire build though is probably integrating a misting system. So basically I have this connected to a Mist King, and if we look all the way in that back wall, we've got this awesome little nozzle back there, and basically we have a single water line going down the back of the unit, kind of like a spinal cord, and then these little nozzles poke out on the inside of the spot. So I drill one extra hole in the back of the tub to allow that nozzle to go in, and then bam, every day I'm able to schedule a short mist for these guys, which is a perfect boost of humidity to get them through the day. The final element to these enclosures, which I'll be working on soon, is actually integrating some LED tape lights right above where that mist nozzle actually is. And then we can of course include the photo period into these enclosures as well, which means we can start to introduce things like pothos and really simple plants that don't require a whole lot of light and that will grow in those conditions really well, all focused on keeping the Amazons at the center. Adding live plants increases better air quality and humidity as well. So it's all in all a win for the Amazons. So the other element of keeping here, of course, I do have some things in cages. The cages I actually kind of keep just for the males. Males stay a little bit smaller than the females. So these are 18-inch cubes made by Black Box Cages. Massive shout out to them. I'll put their link in the description below so you can go check out what they have to offer. They make some amazing cages and racks. And basically, really similar kind of setup here. This actually, the male that goes in here is actually out for breeding right now, but we've got the same kind of setup. We've got the elevated corrugated tube. We've got a plant in here because we have the awesome lights already dialed in. We've got a water bowl across section, and then we also have the radiant heat panel up top. Obviously males don't need to gestate, so they're getting heat from above. And then usually, I had to throw out this guys because it got kind of gross, but usually I'll also have a piece of cork bark in there so they can hide on the ground as well, so they can choose whether they want to be all the way down away from the heat or if they want to be kind of mid-range. And that brings me to, of course, husbandry parameters. So we're talking about heat and humidity. These guys don't want to be super hot. A basking spot around 88 degrees is great, with the ambient temperature about 82. And then humidity wise, we want to be in that moderate humidity range. On the lowest, maybe 40%, but we really want to be dialed in around 55 to 65% humidity pretty consistently. Although I will say Amazons do have such a wide naturally occurring range, they can tolerate drying out a bit more than some of the other corrales. So if you happen to be going away for a period of time, maybe about a week or so, and you don't have a misting system that automates that process for you, if you spray them down really good before you go, maybe have a friend come by and hit them with a quick little spritz bottle, and they'll pretty much be okay with that. Okay guys, so now when it comes to handling your Amazon tree boa, there's a few different ways to kind of go about this. Right now, she's kind of keyed in on Mark holding the camera, so he's kind of being my distraction, so to speak. This is an imported female, and she's definitely hyper-focused on perceived threats. I'll put a card up here in the video to take you to another video I did specifically talking about handling Amazons and how we can better use their behavior to our benefit when it comes to handling and avoiding getting bitten. One of those things is actually being able to put the animal close to an object in front of them where they're going to want to go and explore and figure out what it might be, whether it be up against another cage or on a shelving unit, or maybe if you hold them up a little bit going towards the top of an enclosure. Something else you can do is the famed McCurley twist. So if her head was to turn to my right, I would actually twist her entire body with mine to the right. Sometimes you end up doing a whole little spin while the animal kind of readjusts its focus. If you do that twist and you also provide something for the animal to go towards at the end of it, not only are they recentered, but now they're looking at being able to get away. And that's really when you start to get an animal that's more tractable, because they're starting to use their brain and think about what's going on and what's ahead of them versus what might be holding them. Okay guys, so this is actually a really interesting bicolor animal because she's got yellows and oranges and these interesting gray speckles that have kind of come up all over her body. Now, interestingly enough, usually when we talk about tricolors, they'll be a bit on the darker side as far as these spots go, but hers are almost like this graphite gray. It's really, really interesting, and I'm super excited to see what might pop out of a litter with her, and I'm really looking forward to pairing her up to my guy Copper, who we were looking at a little while ago. Just another really unique bicolor with a few light gray specks himself. So it'd be really interesting to see what we end up doing when we cross these two, but just a really interesting look to the bicolor phenotype. So this is my girl Mosaic here, and this is actually what I really think of when I think of a tricolor animal. So this particular version is just a really heavily patterned red animal. We've also got an orange head, and then we've got like these greenish kind of sides, and then a black coloration up top. So she's more like a quad or quintuple colored animal, but a really, really unique look. So to be fair, on the bicolor and tricolor nomenclature, an animal with specifically two colors, so like red and yellow or orange and yellow, would be a true bicolor. That same phenotype with a lot of black speckling or maybe blotches would be a tricolor animal. And then you just have these that are these multicolored animals. And I still think it's an awesome look. Definitely a unique phenotype. I'm really excited about being able to plug her into some future projects. She's technically a het calico. I don't 100% subscribe to red calico being recessive just yet. I'm still on the fence, but we'll see. I'm gonna plug her into a calico male, and we're gonna actually palpate her and see if she's got any follicles going on. If not now, she probably will in the spring. So as I'm palpating here, I can actually feel we've got probably about a half dozen bumps here. So she's gonna come right back out at me. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I think we've got about 6 follicles right here. So of course now she's gonna try to come out at me. She's not too happy that I was just messing with her, but this is super exciting. So I'm gonna put a note on there that she's got 6 follicles. That means we can actually start to pair her up with your right hand. Kind of pinch like that. Don't break it, look at her, and come down. Okay, so you feel little bumps.
Oh.
So those are follicles.
Oh, that is. Oh.
There you go.
Oh.
No, but those are pretty good size follicles too.
That is cool. I palpated.
Okay guys, so this is actually going to be a twofer here. So this is actually tricolor and tiger put together. So this girl, I still actually don't have a name for this girl, but this is a tricolor tiger that my buddy Randy at Stoic Arboreals produced. And this is an animal that goes from an orange head and neck into this red, and then of course we've got the black tiger stripes going down the back of this animal and on the sides. What an absolutely spectacular snake. This is a captive bred animal. Again, she's about 2 years old. Absolutely wonderful. She's normally a really, really sweet animal. So if we take a look at just these sides here, what an absolutely stunning snake. So you can see up by the head, very, very orange in coloration. And then we start to slowly get red and red and red. And then again, of course, we have the black tiger stripes down the back of this animal. What a stunning example of both tricolor and tiger together. This is my girl Jasper. She's originally an imported leopard, and she decided she was gonna go on a little gallivanting spree of her own. She now wrapped up 2 snake hooks. So sometimes Amazons give you a little bit of a problem, but they're still really, really fun snakes. I always enjoy them. Even these little moments like this where they kind of get a little chaotic and suddenly take all of your handling tools, they're still very, very fun snakes. I'm really excited. I actually just had a baby tiger, 100% het leopard that was produced. Sadly, the only good baby in the litter, but still very, very excited for what's to come. Getting some liger animals, which are still not super common. And of course, that's the combination between the leopard and the tiger. Interesting fact with the leopard gene, it is a recessive trait, and we have yet to get it into other colors. So pretty much every leopard is this kind of grayish brown color. Something that is interesting though, and it also is something we see with gardens, they have a daytime color and a nighttime color. So this girl right now is in her daytime color. Her nighttime color is almost slate gray, bright slate gray, and then of course we get those deep dark spots from the leopard. So very, very interesting look, and I'm excited to continue to develop and see what's possible with the leopard gene. plugging it into as many different things as possible. And who knows, maybe one day we'll actually get these into some colors. I'm really excited about what I'm able to do with the leopard gene here. Okay guys, so this is probably the most anticipated part of the video. This is Mischief, the direct lineage of Carnage, my original red calico high white animal. This is a red calico tiger, and he is absolutely stunning. He's been producing plugs, which means he's going to get thrown into rotation, and I cannot wait to be able to plug him in and continue this amazing line of red calico animal. So Carnage was originally an imported animal, so a brand new bloodline of red calico. I'm super stoked to be able to start plugging him in, and as you can see, he's absolutely stunning. It's been awesome to see him grow and develop. Just an absolutely spectacular Amazon tree boa. So of course, tiger is an incomplete dominant, and then of course red/red calico, some people think is recessive, some people think is an incomplete dominant. I'm still on the fence either way, especially when this particular pairing was a red calico that was Carnage to a yellow tiger that, while captive bred, didn't have red calico in the lineage. So very interesting to see, especially when the entire litter was red calico babies. So it could be just a lineage thing. It could be this line maybe different than some of the other calico lineages that are in the country. Don't 100% know. We're still trying to figure it all out. It's one of the epic aspects of Amazons is we just don't know it all. But again, this is Mischief. Super stoked about the future of this animal and all of his siblings that are with friends of mine. So we're going to start to see some awesome Carnage line stuff popping out over the next few years. So this is probably the most iconic Amazon tree boa look, and that's the garden phase. Now this girl is actually what we would consider a more pinkish garden because she has some pink hues down the back end, but the garden for the longest time has been considered the normal Amazon tree boa. After some recent breedings over the last probably I'd say 5 or 8 years, it actually looks like the garden and Halloween phases are actually recessive mutations. So it's actually really interesting and shows you just how prevalent it is because we've been thinking it's the normal for so many years. So it's really interesting to see. It's a phenotype that has so many different looks to it. So there are even more people that are intrigued by the garden gene and just what is possible with it. So the future is really exciting for the garden Amazons. All right, guys, so we're gonna wrap it up with this girl here. This is Citrus, and Citrus is a true bicolor animal. This girl was produced by my buddy Jeff Godbold, and as you can see, there's absolutely zero black speckles or gray blotches or anything on the snake. It is just orange, red orange, and yellow, and just a magnificent example of a bicolor Amazon tree boa. She is an absolute sweetheart. This is one of my favorite looks when it comes to the Amazon tree boas. These contrasting colors of the deep orange reds and the yellows are absolutely insane. Guys, I hope that you're just as excited with these Amazon tree boas as I am. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you're not already, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and of course, you gotta hit that like button and leave a comment down below. Tell me which one of these is your favorite. And I didn't even get to touch the yellows. All my yellows today are in shed, which is absolutely ridiculous, but I'll have to highlight some yellows in another video because I've got some really cool ones here. But again, thank you guys so much for watching this video. From Citrus and I, we'll catch you on the next one.